let's pick up then instead now with a kind of a cost, volume, profit discussion. We did one quickly the other night, we'll do one again tonight. Our basic concept is we want to find the fixed costs in a business, and we want to find the variable cost in the business. So fixed cost is a total number. Variable cost is per unit. And then we're going to be talking about the price per unit. So I'm going to make a new game or toy or something. And I've got to have a production facility and pay utilities and et cetera. And my costs are going to be $2,000 a month. Now, how do we find $2,000 a month to be the total cost? How do you determine the total cost for a business? Yeah, if I told you I'm looking at this investment, go figure it out for me and tell me if it's worthwhile. How would you go figure out the total costs? You've got to go into incredible detail and say, well, Strickland, are you going to do this? What kind of lights are you going to have in there? That may change your utility bill. Okay. What else may cause my labor? If it's overhead labor, like salaries for the HR department or management generally, that'll be a fixed cost. If it's how much labor do I put into each unit I produce, then it's a variable cost. So labor, I tend to, just for convenience on the terms, labor, meaning production labor, and overhead, meaning those management dweebs who never seem to do anything. Okay? So if I tell you, how would I calculate how much labor it costs to produce this little game going, I've got a little production line, I've got 6 workers together assembling it and moving on down. How would I tell how much it cost me for each game that I produce?
How many people and how long it takes you to produce that item?
Good. I might say, how many games can I produce in one day? And the answer is 200. And if I have to pay 6 people, I got to figure out each one of them's wage rate for one day. Let's say that came up to $800. What's it costing me? $800 to produce 200 games. $4 a game. You see that? So there's my variable cost. Let's say $4 a unit. Oh, plus materials, remember? $5 a unit. What price have I got to charge for this game in order to break even? To not lose money or make money? That's the question. The key behind that for break even is the contribution margin. The contribution margin is price minus variable cost per unit. If I charge $8 for this game, what happens every time I sell one? I made $3. That's my contribution margin to be contributed to my fixed costs. So, let's go with that. No, let's not. Let's do it this way. The ultimate solution then on break even is fixed costs divided by the contribution margin. So in this case, we got $2,000 a month divided by price minus 5. Okay so far? How am I going to do this?
Set it equal to 0 and figure out P.
How do I set it equal to 0?
I'm just thinking like algebraically.
You gotta figure out the price first. Did you say $8?
Oh, I don't know what the price should be here yet.
If you're trying to to break even, you're trying to make no profit, so your profit would be equal to zero. You pay all your overhead and you have $0 left. That's why you set it to zero.
So how would you tell me to set this up?
0 equals 2,000
If you do that,
over P minus 5.
what do you got?
You can only do division, so you didn't, or add, or multiplication.
You've got to multiply that times 0, you get
You
0.
get 0, that's not
Not
gonna
gonna
work.
work.
It's, you have to take the -5 and put it on the outside. I forget how to do it. I know the answer.
What's the
I
answer?
can't- I think it's 400. No, that wouldn't work either.
Okay.
400 units,
We're trying to figure out the price.
right? That would work.
Yeah, we're all in Hooper's class, just so you know.
Yeah.
You see how good we got this?
Let's do this. I'm trying to circle around this so it comes up clear. Let's say, what would happen if we set a price for $8? What would that tell you? We make $3 a unit, right?
Right.
And we need to pay $2,000 for the month. So what is that? That's 667, by the way. What is that number?
How many units you need to build?
How many units I need to sell.
Yeah.
The price we're going to eventually pick depends on how many units we're going to sell.
Say,
If we don't sell but 2 units,
You gotta charge a lot of money.
we're going to sell those puppies for a lot of money. Okay? So,
say equal to
go ahead.
say it equal to 200,
Well,
because you got 200 units. You made in one day, right?
I can make 2, well, that was just an example.
Oh, okay.
Look at it this way. What I didn't give you, I wanted to try to get you to go there, you did, is this is dependent upon the number of units sold. If I tell you, I think we can sell 1,000 units a month. Then think of it this way. Whatever price I charge, because that's what we're still trying to find, that price for 1,000 units has got to equal what? My fixed costs plus variable costs. $5 each for 1,000 units. You see that? When I sell this is how much money I'm going to make. I'm going to sell 1,000 of them at this price. That money's got to be just enough to cover my fixed costs plus my variable cost. My variable costs are $5 a unit, and I'm going to speculate 1,000 units. Can you tell me the price now for this?
I got $5.50, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I get 1,000 P equals 7,000, right?
Something wrong.
Right? So P equals
7.
$7. So this is one combination. I can sell 1,000 units for $7, and I will break even. How do you figure that? This is no longer correct. This is going to be 7. And the quantity is going to be 1,000. If I sell 1,000 units at $7, I'll make $7,000 in revenue. I will subtract my fixed costs. 2, sorry. And I will subtract my variable costs, which is $5 per unit times 1,000. And I will break even. No profit, no loss. We okay with that? What if I decided, at $7? I don't know. I think if I sell it for $8, I can still sell 900 units. Would that work? If I raise the price a little bit, I lose a little bit of sales. How would I be doing then? how much money would I make? I'm gonna sell 900 at $8, I'm gonna make $7,200, right? That's gonna be the money I bring in. How much is going out? 2,000 in fixed costs, and 4,500 in variable costs. $5 times 900 units. How am I doing? Subtract, subtract. 7,200 minus 6,500? Doesn't that make me $700 profit? So is $8 a better price?
Yes.
If what?
Sales stay at 900.
If I sell 900.
If you sell 900, yes.
And couldn't we do this with different prices and different quantities?
Yes.
Does this look like anything you've seen in any other course?
Yes.
What?
Down in 2021.
It's right out of microeconomics. Different price and quantity, different price and quantity. I'm estimating what my demand curve looks like.
Capturing consumer surplus, right?
Well, once, the way I teach managerial economics, we would derive the demand curve, calculate the consumer surplus, and talk about how to go get it.
Okay.
Yeah, but this isn't managerial economics. I'm not gonna do that. So, let's go back and make it a little easier. I tried to do the circuitous route, but I think it will help just to restate it more simply.
I figured out where I'm making my mistake initially.
I have to give you this information too. I think I'm going to be able to sell about 1,200 units. What price do I need to charge to break even? What's going to be my revenue? What's going to be my costs? I'm going to sell 1,200 units at a price of P, whatever P turns out to be. That's got to cover my fixed cost and my variable costs, which are 2,000 and $5 a piece times 1,200 units. Everybody get numbers?
You made it right this time. I got $6.67 a piece.
That's what I got.
1,200 P is equal to 8,000. P is equal to 8,000 over 1,200. So 2, 8, $6.67. Does that sound right?
Yep.
I could slip a zero on you real easy here in my head. How are we doing? Everybody okay with that? What if I said I wanted to not break even, but I wanted to make a profit? I need to make a profit of $3,000 a month. How does that change that calculation? Think of that extra profit that I want as just another fixed cost. So fixed cost plus variable cost plus profit. So plus 3,000. Now we get what's that? 6,000, 8,000, 11,000. So what price do I need to charge now?
Quite a bit more. I got $9.17.
$9.17? That sounds about right. Instead of $6.67, if I want to make the extra profit, I got to be able to charge a price of $9.17. How are we doing with that? Everybody follow where the numbers come from? If I figure this is the way my cost structure looks, and I say, geez, I gotta be able to sell, how many did I say? 1,200 of them for $9.17. Is that a reasonable expectation? What would I have to do? I figured out, given my costs and the profit I want to make to be able to, make a living, I got to be able to sell 1,200 of these things every month for $9.17 a piece. And I'm debating whether to go into business or not. What should I do next?
How much is it worth? How much they sell for?
Good. I'd go out and do some market research. What do similar games sell for, and what's the sales volume like? And if it looks like there's a whole bunch of games in the $9, $10, and $11 range, then I start asking, what kind of people buy these? How old are they? Where do they live? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of TV, radio, social media do they use? Because I want to know how to talk to them. And I want to get them interested in my game. And now we moved into what? Marketing. So we've gone from economics and cost accounting, figured out what we got to do, try and figure out if it's reasonable, and if it sounds reasonable, then we got to figure out how to do it with a marketing plan. And all the decisions. I'm trying to get all of this. This is just part of one total concept. Y'all are real quiet. I feel like I've lost you. Yeah? Here.
There's no magic calculation.
I'm sorry?
There's no magic buttons on the calculator to do this one.
Ain't that a bitch? Yeah.
I think those nuts may, what you should tell us.
Well, let's go do the assisted living facility again. Same ideas, right? You've got 100 beds in your assisted living facility. You typically run a 90% occupancy. Your fixed costs every month are $9,000. Your variable cost per resident is $1,000. Notice that in this case I gave you the quantity you're going to sell. What price do I need to charge my residents in my ALF in order to break even? Yep, different numbers. But think through the logic of it. If you forget the formula, think through the logic. Price is what I'm going to charge my residents, right? How many residents am I going to be billing each month? 90. So price times 90, that's how much revenue, total revenue, I'm going to bring into the business. That's got to exactly equal the costs. What are the costs? $9,000 fixed plus $1,000 each for 90 residents. So I got price times 90 is equal to what? 99,000? So price is?
$1,100 a month.
Which if you know anything about assisted living facilities, that's a ridiculous number.
That's still low.
You need to at least treble that.
At least. If you want a nice place that takes care of you,
Well, my dad was in one right up there behind Hunter's Crossing. And,
well, I'm thinking down south.
oh, down south. Well, we were doing right around $3,000 a month, a little over $3,200.
Yeah, down south is ridiculous.
Now, what's going to happen to the assisted living facility over the next few years? The demand for those is going to go sky high. Because not only are more of us getting older, our kids don't particularly care.
They need to look at something like, how we lock into the tuition rates of, when we have children small, we need to lock into an illicit.
Like prepaid?
Instead of prepaid college, we need prepaid. And there's something out there kind of like that. It's called long-term care insurance.
Yes. But it doesn't lock you into that rate, though.
It locks you into a fixed amount of payment they will pay you to pay the facility, but it doesn't lock in the facility rate.
Oh.
You're right. And I tell you right now, for my wife and I, we're paying $700 every quarter for long-term care insurance, which will not cover the total cost, but will offset the rest. All right, how are we doing so far?
Can you do one more example?
Well, I wanted to ask you something about this one.
Oh, go ahead.
This would be break even. What if this was your facility, your business, and you said, and I want to make $5,000 a month for me, the owner?
Add 5,000 onto the fixed cost.
Good. Add 5,000 onto the fixed cost, which will be now what, 104,000 divided by 90 customers.
1155.
Okay, sounds close enough to me. I'm an economist. We do approximations. Everybody okay with that?
Now, why did that one make a lot more sense than the one with the?
Because the first one I laid out and tried to circle you around to the fact you need to know how many beds you're selling or how many units you're selling.
Oh.
I didn't do too well at that, but
Okay,
I tried.
all
Trying
right.
to give you your money's worth, yeah.
Will that roundabout one be on the exam?
No, no. It'll be pretty straightforward.
Go that round.
I'm sorry?
No, this is like,
Let's, you know, in a factory, got a fixed cost of $450,000 a year. It produces a product that has a variable cost of $1,000 per unit. Their ideal production level, what would that mean, ideal production level in a factory?
If everything goes right.
It's that production level, we're gonna produce this much stuff so that we are fully using everything we got, except still allowing a little time for maintenance and repair, etc. So if our capacity was 1,000 units a day,
kind of like the 100 beds and the 90%.
yeah, except we're choosing to not go to full capacity. We might say the ideal production level is 850 units a day. That way we have a little bit of idle equipment in case something breaks down. Incidentally, let me backtrack just for a moment. If you had that assisted living facility, and every time you looked around, 10% of your beds, 10 beds or rooms, were empty, what would you think about that?
Loss.
Charging too much.
Charging too much?
Not enough advertising.
Not marketing well enough? What would you do with those empty 10 rooms?
Not good customer service.
Donate.
I'm sorry?
Not have a good customer service.
Maybe your customer service or something else needs to be picked up? Can you think of anything we can do? We got those empty rooms sitting around all the time.
You can turn them into like game rooms and stuff to make your current people happy.
Okay, we could maybe turn them into a game room or an office or whatever would make people happy. We could turn one of them into a massage room and have free massage or, cheap massage. Anything else we could be doing?
Physical therapy rooms.
A physical therapy room?
Something else to make you money.
How?
Family visitor room?
Huh?
Family visitor room?
A good family visiting room? So a family can come in overnight and stay here
Yes,
for a fee.
Yeah.
A small fee.
that's exactly what I was
I
thinking.
mean, the first reaction people get when I usually pose that kind of question is, well, we got 10 rooms, damn, we're not doing things right. Well, maybe you can do them a little bit better without trying to fill up every room all the time. Maybe operating at 85 or 90% is a good idea, because with that slack, there's some profit potential out there. I mean, if you just took a homeless person, put them in there for a week, and helped them get shaped up, and then helped them get a job, how would that look as a story in the Sun, Gainesville Sun? You can't buy that kind of advertising. Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Yes, sir.
Here's a great example of that. A lot of people don't know this, but in Best Buy, talking about it again, I guess, The back of Best Buy, where all the TVs are, there's a big wall there. And if you're going to the bathroom in Best Buy, it's down this corridor that you have to walk like a half a mile to get to. That big wall is part of that building that Best Buy didn't need for either its stock or its sales floor. And the Walmart that's right down the road, that's where they keep all of their surplus inventory. And so that whole back area there is being rented to Walmart to
Excellent.
be used as a
Excellent.
backup storage facility.
Yeah, now how do you teach that in a classroom? It's called look at everything you've got and see what you can do different with it, right? And that's thinking outside the box. Great example. Let's see, if our ideal production level is 850 units a day, now I'm going to really mess you up, right? What price do I need to charge for my product? What kind of adjustments have you got to make?
How many days in a year do you run?
Good. Let's say that we operate 300 days a year. That's exactly the right question. So how many am I going to sell this year, or how many am I going to produce this year?
155,000.
255,000? Good. So how would you set this up?
Would you wanna do it for a year or a month or?
You could do it year, month, or day. I mean, I'm going to do it on a year basis just for convenience. How much revenue am I going to make this year? I'm going to sell 255,000 units at
Do you
the
want any
price.
overhead? I mean, do you want any profit? Is that a break even? Is
No,
there
no
break
profit,
even?
just break even.
Break even.
Good. This has got to equal my total cost, which are fixed costs plus variable cost, which is 450,000 plus $1,000 a unit for 155,000 units. Solve for P, one equation, one unknown.
Look at TR, I'm sorry.
Total revenue
Oh, thank you.
and total cost.
Why do you have 155? It should be 250.
It should be 255, my mistake. Why is it women are always criticizing me?
I didn't criticize. I just want to know why you had that.
I'm an S, I'm very, very defensive.
You're still alive.
Huh?
Because you're still alive.
There you go.
Wow.
P times 255,000 equals what?
A lot.
That's a public school answer.
You're right.
And it is a whole lot of zeros. 255, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then 1, 2, 3, and 450. So it's got to equal 450,000. Okay? So P is 255, 455, not divided by 255, not. Did I get a price?
1,001.77.
Yeah.
How much?
$1,001.76.
$1,001.76. Cool. So did you learn anything from this example? Don't be afraid of a lot of zeros. Be ready to convert it all to an annual basis or a monthly basis or whatever. How we doing?
You can sell it for way more than that.
I'm sorry?
It's just $1. Or you could sell it for way more than that.
Depends on what the market's like. I mean, all the accounting and all the economics in the world and the analysis and calculation ain't worth a damn if you don't understand the market. Anybody? Anything else? How are we doing? 22, not bad. Sir?
It's somewhat related to what she said. There was a story of this person, I don't remember if it was a woman or a man, that was trying to pay for college, and I'm just going to say she contacted a major newspaper,
Yeah.
and like the New York Times or some huge newspaper like that, and convinced them to run a story for her. She basically asked everybody, all the readers, to look through their couch and find loose change and mail it to her. If you found a penny, if you found a dime, mail it to her. She ended up getting like a couple $100,000 from it because she asked like 500,000 people for a very small amount of money. And so in this situation, you're making $1.76, and it's just $1.76. But if you can sell a ton of those, then $1.76 will add up.
That's right. Exactly right. What's that term used on the social media now? Or the website? No, there's what is it? Crowdsourcing? Is that right? I'm not sure that's the right term.
It's like crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding. And there's a website you can list your project on.
Yeah.
And if people, my daughter's quartet sings in Sweet Adelines, and they wanted to make their first CD, and they put it on there, and they raised something like $10,000 to pay for the production costs.
Go on Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, yes, that's what it was. Just a little bit of money from a lot of people.
There was a device. It was just a watch band that the old iPod Nano, I guess, is just sort of like a small thing about this big, and they designed it so you could just pop the iPod Nano into it, and it turned into a watch before all the like fancy smartwatches started coming out.
Yeah.
And so that's how they created that product.
Interesting.
It's a Kickstarter.
It's always gotten funny to me to see people, a lot of people, men particularly I know, don't wear watches anymore because they got their smartphone. Man, I feel naked without a watch.
And this will work the same if you just divide the 450 divided by 365 days in the year. And
Yeah, to convert it back to a daily
you
basis.
don't have those.
Sure. Then you don't have so darn many zeros. Okay, what else? 40 multiple choice questions. Somewhere between 3 and 10 of them will ask for an explanation or discussion. You'll need a Scantron, as you had last time. A pen and a pencil. And a calculator. And some notebook paper. Once again, P160 and P260. We may be able to fit everybody in one room.
Same time as we usually meet.
5:30. And that will be Wednesday, December the 4th.
My birthday. Do I get extra points that day?
Oh, sure you do.
December the what?
My birthday too.
My birthday too.
No, because that's the points we made.
So
I'll make you up your own special birthday question. How's that?
all of these equations are based on like if you're producing widgets or you're producing like you have something that everything is the same.
Mhm.
What about when you go into an industry that everything is different? You're producing custom.
Oh, there's a whole lot of
A
stuff.
custom.
You're
how
going
do
to
you-
love managerial
Managerial.
accounting, John.
Because that's like printing, everything is different. I can't say that our maximum capacity is to fold, 100,000 pieces a day. It'll be 10,000 pieces of this and 3,000
And
pieces
you wind up
of
breaking
that.
them down into different profit centers or operation centers. And your big question, when you have multiple products that you're producing or you're an air conditioning business working on multiple houses, your big question is all that overhead that you can't specifically tell which job it goes to, all that overhead, how do you allocate it among those jobs? And if you're doing one part of the business and I'm doing one part of the business and the boss comes down and says, Strickland, your share of overhead is this much and John's is this much, I can tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to say, that's not fair.
Right.
You're making me carry more overhead than I should. I think John should carry more, to which you will respond, no way in my life. And those are the kinds of arguments that take place, is the allocation of that overhead. Because that can make you look really good as a manager or really poor, depending on how somebody up there allocated that overhead to your department. So you got to be ready to as you well know, and know what you're doing to be able to argue that this isn't a fair share of the overhead. Yeah, we're just barely opening to the door to all the issues that arise behind all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm always trying to think how to where my career. So we're going through this in managerial, and it's like Like, yeah, if I was working in a factory producing widgets, it's like, I can't directly apply it to where I'm working right now.
So what you've got to do is break down what you do into different categories. And then sometimes within those categories, it's not a process of continually doing this, it's job at a time.
Yeah, we do job costing.
Yeah.
But it's more of like after the fact. You know, we track it after the job is completed, then we look and see what it costs for each specific job.
Right.
And that's how we base our, pricing moving forward.
Right, and here's where you get into it. If it costs this much to do the job, and those were the marginal costs, just the direct costs of producing the job,
Right.
how much overhead was allocated to that job? And that's the key decision that makes that department look good or bad.
I don't even think that's addressed, really.
I'm sorry?
I really don't feel like that's even.
Then how can you look at a job and say we made money or lost money? You
don't.
can,
Yeah.
but
you
it's
don't.
not true.
Right.
You may have made money on that job,
Right.
but
What if that's the only
you could go
job you
broke.
did for the month?
that's right.
You didn't fill up the bucket, and then you got all your fixed costs, you didn't even come close to meeting.
With one of the former presidents of this college, I asked him one day in a meeting, I said, you tell us we have to have at least 10 people in a class before we can let it go, because it takes 10 students to pay for that instructor. I said, I know how much the tuition is, I know how much the instructors make, and I'm telling you right now, break even in that class is 6 students. I'll show you the numbers. He wouldn't talk to me. He just ignored it and went on to something else. But we get in those kind of, and we're right back to economics. The marginal cost of putting on this class tonight is what? What did it cost the college to put on this class tonight?
The price minus.
0. I get paid a fixed salary whether I come have a whole class or not.
Oh, you said the variable cost.
The marginal cost.
Oh,
Now, if this is a daytime class when I'm supposed to be here, you could say, well, how much did this class cost out of my total salary? And then how many students would it take with their tuition to pay for that? And if it took 6 students to pay my salary for that one class, that's break even. And so for me, every student over 6, you're making money for the college on that class. But that doesn't mean you're paying enough to cover the overhead. And that should have been his answer. So if you can understand this, you're going to be leagues ahead of most of the people out there. They don't understand it. All right? Anything else? I don't want no wusses about math here now.
You have online the rule number 2, or 72?
The rule of 72.
Do we need to know that, or? should we
Let
go
me
with
show
it?
it to you just for a second, because it's really simple. You put money in the bank and it earns interest, okay? The question is, how long does it take your money to double? If I put $100 in the bank today, and it earns 8%, how long will it take until it becomes $200? And the rule of 72 is just this. Take your interest rate that you're earning, divide that number into 72, and that's the time it takes to double. If you earn 8% per year, it'll take you 9 years. If you earn 8% per day, it'll take you 9 days. If you can earn 12% on your money, what? It'll double every 6 years. That's all it is. Real quick and dirty rule of thumb. Okay? Anything else? Any questions you get, I won't answer specific, right? We won't answer specific multiple choice questions, but if you want to discuss them or you want to talk about anything else prior to that exam, get on the email to us, okay?